So one of the comments I've gotten a few times, and I've seen it on other forums and things, is that, you know, a person who's living in one area and not wandering around all the time isn't a true nomad. You know, I think that's a silly discussion, to be honest with you. I suppose for people who love definitions, the simple definition of a nomad is just somebody who doesn't stay in one spot all the time. You know, I don't wander from town to town all the time, so I suppose if that's for those who love the technical definitions of things, I'm not a nomad in that sense. I don't wander across the country from town to town, never stopping like other RVers do. However, by the simple definition of nomad, I don't really stay in one place all the time. I think the whole thing is kind of a silly discussion, because the point to me, the difference to me, is that I don't stay in a place that's attached to the ground. I'm not attached to a fixed location. I can camp for a few days at a place, go to another place. I can take off and go out of town if I want. I think by the simplest definition, that makes me as much of a nomad as anybody else. But for those who don't want to call me a nomad, fine. I don't really care. I don't feel like I need to defend it. It's just an interesting thing to contemplate, because I wonder if, you know, there's different reasons why people do this lifestyle. Some people want to wander far and wide and never stop. Me, I enjoy just the freedom of not being attached to the ground and some of the benefits you get from that. One of which is financial freedom, as I've mentioned before. I don't pay mortgage or rent. I saw a comment on another forum where somebody was kind of belittling RVers and van dwellers because they just are people that couldn't quite go along with the crowd. They couldn't, you know, they're kind of losers that couldn't buy a piece of property, so all they could really do is get an RV and wander around in it. That's total nonsense. I have owned property myself. I've owned a house. I built a house when I was in my 30s. I thought that would be freedom. I thought freedom meant owning your own property. Well, to me, I found out that it was more slavery than I had imagined. You always have the upkeep of the place. You've got to pay property taxes. Boy, try to own property and not pay property taxes. You have a permanent landlord, and that is the government. They're always going to demand that payment from you, no matter what. You never escape it. And just the fact that you've got this big thing to always take care of. I felt when I owned a house and property, it became more and more of a burden to me. I could go back into the property ownership thing if I wanted to. I'm not doing this because I can't afford any other thing to do. I know some people do it for that reason, but I'm not one of those. I prefer this lifestyle right now. It may be that someday I will, in fact, get another piece of property. And I certainly don't belittle those who are property owners if that is the path you've chosen. There's nothing wrong with that either. if you do find your peace and your bliss or whatever in that, so be it. If I ever buy a piece of property again, I kind of suspect it's going to be more of a parking lot rather than a building site type of a thing. I don't know yet. I suppose that airplane going by there. I suppose that this is what the discussion here is really all about. Everybody, I see a common thread throughout the people doing this lifestyle, and one word that comes up a lot is freedom. And I suppose that everyone has to define that their own way. So I'd be interested in your comments. What do you guys think is freedom? What is it to you? How do you define it? And do you have to criticize somebody else and do something different? That guy is a weirdo. He's doing it my way. Everything